Okay, good morning. It is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Just a reminder that if you trust your edge and your method, and if you trade only the setups it gives you, and if you follow the rules, if you are patient, and if you think in terms of weeks, months, never today, or even tomorrow, then you will make a lot of money and live a life very few can afford. So let's go ahead, move to the MeBob template on the ES, see what's been going on. I just finished my NQ trading for the day. Took a little longer to trigger than it has been taken, but it triggered. It was a long trade and very quickly went right to the profit target. So thankful for that. So we had a bear bar open, doji, tails and wicks. So this would not have been any kind of a signal bar. And then we had this opened right around the level it closed. Don't know if it traded up a little bit first, but it definitely then came down, made a lower low for the day. And strong bull bar closing near its high. So a signal bar, but we're also right here below yesterday's settlement, the close. So at this point, I would be waiting. Obviously, MeBob is still 25 or 30 minutes away, but in terms of just price action setups, if this had closed above yesterday's close, then an acceptable price action setup would be to put a buy stop above the high. Very strong bull bar outside up of this opening range, opening 5-minute range, back down, testing the open of the day. The open print was 5609.0. Certainly, there's going to be traders who are buying that on a limit, stop below the low, expecting that now that we had this strong bull bar close above the open, that a chance to buy the open is a gift. And that is a trade we will be looking at next week. But again, this week, primarily looking at the MeBob setups. So right now, just providing a little bit of my commentary on what I'm seeing in terms of price action. I'm not going to run this recording all the way until the MeBob bar opens, but let's let this candle close, and that will conclude the first 15 minutes. I do think that there's some news at 10 a.m., the JOLTS job openings, which that oftentimes if there's news pending at 10 a.m., either 9:45 a.m. or 10 a.m. are times where news will sometimes be released. You'll see the U.S. indexes sort of tighten up, trade in a bit of a range. It could be a volatile range. You can see they really, they bought here, probably had some short sellers who decided to sell on a stop when price broke below today's open. They're getting squeezed. And but this could go either way. You get a little less than a minute. If this doji closes and it looks sort of like it does now with a red body, very small red body at the high, it's probably more likely that we see another try to test the low of this bar instead of a breakout to continue to the upside. But if we do get that breakout, I would be looking for a measured move of the breakout bar, which looks like it's happening. Put this in. Did go a tick above. Again, I'd rather be waiting and enter above yesterday's settlement. But again, a trade here would have been to, you could have put a buy stop at 56.23.5, and a one-to-one trade would be up here at 56.49.5. But again, this is not a great bar to be long on with this small red body near the high. Again, you're probably about 60 or 70% of the time, the next candle is going to test the low. Now, when I say test, it could actually trade to the low, below the low, or it could just make its way more than 2/3 of the way to the low. Testing the low doesn't mean it has to actually trade that level. And you can see that's exactly what's happening here. And if this were reversed, if this had been a strong bear bar, and then this was a doji with a small bull body near the low, again, it's not a 50-50. It's more of a 60-40 that the market's going to at least make one additional rally attempt and test what would be the high of that bar. Again, that's if this bar had been reversed. And like I said, I wouldn't, it's a setup, but I wouldn't trade a setup where I'm putting a buy stop into one of these pivot levels. I'd like to see not only a break above, I'd like to see, similar to MeBob, I'd like to see a close above yesterday's close before getting long. Now that doesn't mean I wouldn't get long below it, but I want to get long below it down here near the open. So if this bar hadn't been this long trend bar, but if it had been a solid bull bar, maybe closing here a tick or two above today's open, I would buy that. And my target probably would have been this low, 21. But again, I would expect that this candle is, I mean, this pretty much qualifies as a test. I mean, the range of this bar was 2150 high and 7 at the low. So you take 10 points, so 1150, and we got to 11. So, like I said, retrace 2/3 of this bar or so. But nothing to do. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. It's right now it's almost 10 minutes to 10. And again, there's news at 10, and then MeBob bar starts at 10:05. So I'm going to pause it. I'll be back. Okay. So the news is coming out here in about 30 seconds. Just do a little recap of what's transpired since I paused. This was as far at the time that price made it in terms of retesting this low. That was sufficient to satisfy the setup. Price did then close above the previous day's settlement. A buy stop above would have gotten me long at 32, almost immediately reversed. Here's the news. Green. Anyhow, this would have been about a 4-point loss if I would have held it to its natural stop. But oftentimes, if I'm trading the 5-minute chart on the ES and I have a price action set up that gets me long on a buy stop, so in this case, the buy stop would have been 32 even. and then it stops me in, only goes 1, 2, 3 ticks up, and then starts to reverse. I oftentimes will exit at the market if price comes back below the close of the signal bar for a long. We're back above the close for a short on a bear bar. So this is why it's difficult to trade news. This was actually a sell signal here, but it was also a buy signal up here. This is a bar where it's not a great looking buy or sell signal bar. This is on context. Sell stop below, buy stop above. They used the news as an excuse to jam shorts here and then run their stops, get a bunch of traders long, wipe them out. So typically a good idea not to be in the market or have open resting buy or sell stops to enter trades in the market when news is pending. That's where the news algos, they do their shenanigans to pick retail traders' pockets. So and here you have a news bar that almost traded to the low of the day and took out the high of the day. So you have one 5-minute bar, and it's not done. It could take out this low. So we potentially have one 5-minute bar that's going to have a larger range than the entire 30-minute opening range. Opening range low 97.50, and the high was this 32.50. Took out that by about 3 1/4, and we're about ready to. Did we do it? Did we hit 97.50? No, almost. There we go. Okay, so now we have a news bar, the 10 to 10:05 news bar that has a greater range than the opening 6 5-minute bars. So if you imagine this is a 30-minute chart, okay, 30-minute, you'd have a 30-minute bar where the open was here, close was here, sort of a, let's take a look at it, just so you can see, because we have an outside 30-minute bar now. So you have this doji type opening range, outside bar. Let me go back to the, let me get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. That was for a previous video. And go back to 5 minutes. And I think I figured out why I'm having some issues with NinjaTrader. I like to set this grid. So these, look at this. I like to set the grid so these are set to 10 points. That's my profit target right now. They might be, I think NinjaTrader might be rejecting that, because if I set these to automatic, they would probably be spacing the horizontal lines maybe 20 points apart. So MeBob is going to open. I want to see how quickly that vertical green prints. Yesterday there seemed to have been a delay. Let's see if it prints immediately. It should. There, okay. It worked fine today. So now we're in MeBob, but we have this huge outside bar. Yesterday's low was 71.50, and the low today so far 77.75. If we don't take out this low, current low of the MeBob, then almost certainly the MeBob will be an inside bar. But plenty of time for the MeBob to make a lower low. And the way the volatility has been, it would be surprising, but not out of the realm of possibility for us to finish MeBob at a new high of the New York session. So, just gonna sit here and wait, let it do its thing. During my pause, I was doing my spreadsheet for my NQ trading. Highly recommend anyone day trading keep a spreadsheet as part of their journaling efforts. Another large range bar here. So instead of letting a bunch of silence go by here while we're just watching price, if you're still with me, and we're 17 minutes in, hopefully you're listening. I'm not just talking to myself, but on the thread at Forex Factory yesterday, one of the users wanted to do some back testing of the MeBob methodology. And he did not use the MeBob rules. He made up his own. So for example, he was using a buy stop or sell stop to bracket the MeBob range rather than waiting for a bar to close outside of the MeBob range. And I pointed out that, well, on a day like yesterday, there would have been 5 or 6 minus 1 hour stop outs before the first orthodox signal. And he said, well, I was only taking the first entry. So if you're going to backtest the original methodology, you have to have the skills to program your software to backtest the methodology. It is more complicated to instruct your data machine, your data engine, to enter trades on a bar close outside of a range than to simply buy stop or sell stop bracket a particular range. Also, you need to run the method at least for the morning session, and preferably from 10:15 a.m., which is the first bar that could issue a signal, right? The MeBob opens at 10:05, closes at 10:10. We cannot get a signal. Here we are. Okay, so here's our MeBob now. It's a big one compared to yesterday. And now remember, as we're not waiting for just a break of the MeBob range. We need a close, either above the MeBob high or below the MeBob low. So if you're going to run a back test, I don't have any opposition to someone back testing. but you got to backtest the rules. And not all, I don't know. I don't know if all data engines are capable of testing the rules. They probably are, but anyone who grew up in the age of computers is familiar with the phrase garbage in, garbage out. And if you're not instructing the computer to test the actual rules, you're not really getting a backtest of the method that we're using currently. And again, the commitment through the end of this week is to use the orthodox MeBob rules. Going forward, I do not as of yet see any reason to change that. Again, what I would like to add is a traditional price action method, and using price action and MeBob to support and inform one another. So again, I don't know if anyone's actually listening at this moment. We're now 21 minutes into the video, but these videos are going to be very important to understanding where we are in the thread and where we are in this exploration that we're pursuing. This isn't going to be the type of thread where you can read a few posts and then feel that you're qualified to jump in and criticize what we're all doing. I had another thought. What was it? Oh, and then yesterday it came to me that this MeBob method really is an ideal mechanical method for someone to use who wishes to pursue the Mark Douglas exercise, what's commonly called the 10 or 20 trade exercise or sample size. Most of you should be familiar with Forex Factory. I'm assuming you've come to this video from Forex Factory. So if you're familiar with the user who goes by the name Too Slow has an excellent thread. It's called highest open, lowest open. We call it HOLO for short. And it's a method based around mechanically trading price action around the highest and lowest hourly opens of the day. And he always starts the week by saying, who's doing the 10 trade challenge? There is no better way to train yourself to become a consistently profitable trader than to pick an entirely mechanical trading method that removes all discretion and then commit to trading that method until such time that you can do at least 10, preferably 20 trades where you apply that method flawlessly, where you enter without hesitation or fear. You don't anticipate signals. You don't chase signals. And Too Slow, to his credit, is one of the few thread runners at Forex Factory who understands this. And I think that the thread that we're doing with the MeBob strategy is similarly positioned to offer that same type of opportunity. So we have an inside bar. Now, pure price action trader probably going to put a sell stop below the low of this candle and probably above the high of the MeBob bar. But again, I am committed to the MeBob orthodox entry strategy this week. So we still have no entry signal. We need for this current candle to either close above the MeBob range high or below the MeBob range low to get a signal. If it remains inside the MeBob range, then we remain outside of the market. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a pause, and I'll restart the video if the current candle does attempt a breakout of the MeBob range, or if it looks like we're going to get a signal by the close. There's still 3 minutes plus left to this candle, so a lot can happen, but I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right here. Okay, another candle coming in for a close, and unless something drastic changes in the next 5 seconds, it looks like we'll have a second consecutive candle closing inside the MeBob range. So again, a price action trader may have sold below, so at 90.5, stop loss up here. Profit target might have been just the low of this bar. It may have just been the lowest 5-minute bar close. 84.50, 84.25. I'd suggest everyone pay attention while you're watching the market. And you should be watching the market. I'm pausing the video so the video doesn't become extraordinarily long, but I'm watching each and every tick. And if you're trading the 5-minute chart, it will be to your benefit to pay attention to how price behaves at previous bar opens and closes, especially when it's the highest close or the lowest close. I know that Too Slow's thread I mentioned a little bit back there, his method is the highest hourly open, lowest hourly open, and I do use that method, but I will use both highest open and close in order to identify potential entries. And on the 5-minute chart, the same thing goes. So you could even, for example, draw a horizontal line at the highest 5-minute bar close and at the lowest 5-minute bar close. And that, and just keep an eye on those levels. You don't have to do anything. Eventually, you'll learn to do things. So for example, that's why I said this would have been a 4-point loss long on an orthodox or the natural stop. But I very likely would have cut it to, a 2-point, maybe 2.5-point loss. Because when price stopped in, it should not have returned below that close in this open. And then you can see on the news, came above, a sell stop below that highest close would have got you in for a nice short. Now we're not trading those right now. We'll probably be adding those at some time as this thread progresses. But just wanted to point some of these things out. I'm going to get rid of that for now, just because that's down by the level of the MeBob. We're not doing anything. I am going to keep this here for myself as the day progresses, in case the market does rally. Last minute to this bar. There's the first break of the MeBob bar low. See where it closes. Seconds. Do we get to close below or inside? Okay, nothing to do. I'm looking at the NQ on another monitor, Globex chart, so that's the 24-hour data. And we have back-to-back outside 30-minute bars. The first 30 minutes of the New York section were outside up, and the second 30-minute bar has about 4 minutes left to it, is outside down. Okay, now we're getting a second break at the MeBob low. A lot can happen in 4 minutes. See where they close it. So some of the things I work on after market hours, I put the 8-period average true range on the 5-minute chart. So some of my own back testing, my back testing is visual. I'm not an automated back tester. I feel like when you're testing a method, if you want to develop a feel for it and confidence in it, for me, and I may be wrong, but my own personal prejudice is I prefer to look at the charts with my own 2 eyes. I'll use fib tools just to measure, how far price moved beyond an entry level, how far price retraced against the trade, that type of thing. But in my own back testing, it does appear that some sort of fractional ATR function would be wise to use to set the take profit levels. Excuse me. But again, we are very early in our exploration, and again, I would urge anyone who is not yet a consistently profitable trader, and if the reason for that is trader error, and by errors again, I mean FOMO, overtrading, getting in too soon because you're anticipating a signal, getting out too early because you're anticipating that it's going to reverse on you. Now, one thing I would say here is, since this MeBob range is so large, I mean, we have a range that's nearly 30, might be over 30 points, or just about 30, or actually that was at 31. That's a crazy risk for a 10-point profit target. So if we do get an entry signal short, again, I'll be looking for a 10-point profit. And you can see here, price is sort of double bottoming at the previous day's low. So if we do get a close down here, I will hit the market order. That is not the ideal place to be taking a short. But again, not my fault. The market decides when and where it's going to close outside of that MeBob range and give us a signal. So, what I would probably do in this case is if this is a short, I'll probably make my risk about half of the MeBob range. And if stopped out, so half of that would be about a 700. Oops, there I go. I might get a little not ideal because I should have gotten. No, we want to move this. Let's see where that is relative to the range. This is kind of what I would have thought would happen, that they'd buy that close. So what's the high of this bar here? A little more than half the range. I'm going to put my buy stop above that. Candle. Looking for a 10-point profit target. And again, I did try to hit the order here, but because I had that window open, one of the shortcomings of NinjaTrader is, it's still very much a 2006 program. They've not done a whole lot to upgrade it in the years since they first introduced it. So if you open the indicator window to format an indicator or any of these menus, it disables trading. You can't hit a market order to get in on your trading DOM. Again, this is going to be one of those times where perhaps the software getting in my way was favorable. I think what I probably should do is let's act as though close was 74.25. So let's move the profit target to 64.25. That will give us a more accurate basis to judge this particular MeBob setup, because I really kind of got lucky by not being prepared for the close of that bar. I should have known better than to have opened up that. I can't remember what I was trying to format. lot of traders had limit orders to buy right here. Institutional traders. Retail traders usually don't have the courage to place a limit order and let it sit here. Instead, what retail traders are doing is they're putting a sell stop to go short below the low of the previous day. So the institutions will push price here, and they'll use those sell stop orders below to get retail traders short and themselves long. And then you get this sort of squeeze. But we'll see. Market's in a downtrend on the daily and the weekly. So it would not be surprising for us to break yesterday's low and make lower lows. What I would do is, in this particular case, if this makes a lower low, so if the ES trades at 71 or lower, this is a bullish candle. This very good chance that this does something like this, where these lows sort of make a little wedge. Now it's breaking, so we're getting, okay, it did break, but this is quite often signaling that price is going to at least try these highs one more time. Doesn't mean it doesn't break, but and it doesn't mean it definitely tests the highs, but I would say over time, right now, if you were a scalper and you had to go long or short with a 4-point stop loss, I'd go long here and take my profit here and have a stop loss, that way you're right below here. This is similar to what we saw over here when we were watching this, and I said this is actually would typically signal price is going to at least make an attempt at this low. It did make an attempt at that low, but then reversed higher. This action here would suggest that price is going to attempt this high before it would continue lower. But it's just an odds, so the fact that it 60% or 65% of the time will test this high, that means 35% or 40% of the time it's going to make a new low. Okay, at this point, I'm going to leave it open. I was going to say earlier that if we make a new low, I would bring the stop loss down to maybe break even or a tick above this high, but given the behavior of price so far, okay, now I think we can do that. 87. I'm going to bring the stop loss to 87.25. Oh, target filled. Okay, so better than 10 points on this particular trade because of my trading error. I wasn't paying attention properly. But nonetheless, we got our 10 points from what should have been a more accurate entry based on this MeBob trade. So let me. I don't want to get rid of. I don't want to remove all of them on my list of drawing objects. I want to get rid of this one. Okay, so I'm going to hit pause. I may come back. We'll see if we get back into the MeBob range. But I'm not going to hang out all day watching it today. But we did get our 10 points on a MeBob trade. And again, this is why I believe this is such a good method for doing the Mark Douglas exercise. This was not necessarily a great short entry here. I got lucky, again, because I wasn't paying attention, but I still hit the market order as soon as I was able to get the software to allow me to. But it's a mechanical method. I can't take responsibility for the fact that it was a 10-point profit from this close. The market decides. I can't take credit for having hit a market order when this bar closed. That's the method. All this is dictated. There's no reason to feel bad if there's a loss. There's no reason to feel bad if you have multiple losses. You just trade the method. You take the signals, and whatever happens today, yesterday was a profitable day. Today's a profitable day. But what happened yesterday has nothing to do with what we're doing today. And what happens today has nothing to do with how tomorrow is going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this recording, and then if I decide to wrap it up, I will unpause it to do a little conclusion and then post it to YouTube. Okay, I'm going to wrap this video up. Just here's the actual trade. These are, of course, some things I was doing yesterday afternoon after, what do you call it? We were well done with MeBob, and they're not MeBob related. And this was just me buying and buying and buying and buying as price went up. I don't average losers. I average winners. Trust me, if you can turn yourself into someone who buys more as the market's going higher and sells more as the market's going lower, you're going to be much, much, much better off than the trader who gets long and the market drops, and so he gets even longer, and then the market drops and he gets even longer. Because at some point, you're going to have such a position that it's going to move against you just a little more, and you won't be able to hold to the end. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up, get this up on YouTube. Again, today this entry was up here at 82, which is about 7 points higher than it probably should have been. But it is what it is. Again, I got to make sure when I'm doing these videos that I pay more attention. I guarantee you, if I weren't recording the video, again, I can't remember what I was formatting even, but I was probably doing it to demonstrate something. When I'm trading and not concerned with filling a video with narration, I'm not messing around with my charts. I'm watching and I'm waiting for my signals. So that's it. Another MeBob day in the books, and I'll do a review tonight of this and any other MeBob signals that may be generated throughout the trading day, and then of course be at live trading again tomorrow. I'm not done trading for the day, but I'm not going to continue to record and monitor for MeBob. I'll keep that to the review. And that's it. I'll talk to you all later.